What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is episode 26 of LoreForged, the podcast with news, discussion, lore, and more on Ashes of Creation. We are your hosts. I'm Jibs, but before we go on to the normal crew, we have surprise special guests with us on the show. These two are absolute titans in the Ashes of Creation community and have been creating for a very long time. And we are so stoked to have them here. From the Golden Feather Tavern, we have ChibiBree.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
I love it. It's right to the point.
Yeah.
Right to the hard-hitting stuff.
That's right. Oh,
Thanks for having us on.
Fantastic.
so welcome. And Virtek's here.
Hello, everybody.
Sweet, sultry tones.
How's it goes?
That's right. Your podcast may have the biggest spread between frequencies of two hosts.
Pretty much. Especially when I actually talk in my normal voice, because usually I have that like the telephone voice that worked customer service for so long, and on the phone it just gotta have that friendly, outgoing voice, and that's kind of what I tend to use when I'm talking. But every once in a while, I slip into my normal, just like my normal tone. It's usually a little bit more bassy like this. And, yeah.
Is it more angry than? Do you feel like you've caged in yourself the entire time during your customer service job, and you just release it afterwards?
If anything, it feels more relaxed.
Oh,
I wonder.
I feel like I'm a little bit more, when I do my customer service voice, I'm a little bit more energetic. It's a little bit more high pitch. It's a little bit more like, nah.
Chibi,
I've
does
heard
he
him
come
in his
home?
meetings.
Does he come home and just kick down the door and be like, "No,
We'll see. That might be the case if he ever left.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, well, we are so
We're both
stoked.
blessed with that work from the pajamas job. I mean, work from home job.
Oh, you both are?
Pajamas? What pajamas?
Nice. Oh my gosh, I'm so
Yeah.
jealous. So jealous. That's awesome. Well, everybody who's here, whether you're watching over at LoreForged Live or you're listening on your commute, however you're tuning in, thank you so much for pushing play, hanging out with us here on the podcast. And today it is all about ChibiBree and Virtek. And then we're going to do a roundtable discussion on, this is something we've been wanting to do for a while, and I'm really interested to hear ChibiBree and Virtek's take on this. The discussion on the Mount Rushmore of NPCs and how that relates to Ashes of Creation. So I think it's going to be a good time. So we're just going to jump right into this, guys. So
Okay.
I'm going to start with Chibi here. And what is your history with content creation?
So, I actually got into streaming on Twitch a long time ago. I think I want to say around 2014, 2015 is when I started my own Twitch channel. And I initially just streamed because I wanted to make friends in World of Warcraft because I used to initially play with my dad. And now at this point in my life, I was a college student and living by myself. So I was like, I want friends, but I also don't want to leave the house. So let's find some video game friends. And then it was over a few period of years that I ended up coming across the Ashes of Creation Kickstarter and joined that Discord and was invited on to a podcast, my first ever podcast. I felt so over my head. Like, I was just like, I don't know much about this. I don't know if I'm the right person to give my opinion. But I met a lovely lady named Aloha, and we both were on this podcast together. I believe it was DCN's podcast at the time. And that's kind of what got me into doing the whole podcast idea. I really liked it from there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah.
You were bitten
miss
by the
DCN.
podcast bug.
Yeah.
DCN, the Dungeon Crawler Network?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We miss them.
Yeah.
We really do,
Yeah.
especially in the Ashes
They-
space. They were fantastic.
They were fun.
Very, very good. Now, Virtek, was that
Agreed,
kind of the
agreed.
same for you? Like, as far as your history in content creation, or is it like a different path for you?
Mine is quite different, actually. Mine started as I was doing an associate's degree in computer forensics, and I needed to do an internship. So I happened to find this website that was doing Ashes content. And actually, let me rewind that. I joined a guild for SOTOR. And it happened to be Guild Umbra. with Hammer as the lead.
Yeah.
And I found out that he had a website. And when I found out he had a website, I was like, hey, you looking for an intern? Because I need to do an internship for this. And he goes, yeah, sure, why not? And he spoke for me. At that point, I found out that he knew a lot about tech. And he was actually working a job at that point in just doing tech and traveling the country for tech and security products and stuff like that. And it kind of just fit. And at first I was just doing updates for the website, and then I started kind of hopping in on the podcast, which I was the quiet one because I was really shy about talking in front of people. Really shy.
He was really shy when we started ours too, still, so.
Yeah, I was really quiet and I didn't talk much. So I was the quiet guy. And I don't know, that little seed right there kind of started something in me down the line when I found Ashes, or I mean, honestly, when we found Ashes, because it was like a 3-week spread between when we both found it. It just that little seed just kind of perked right up as soon as she said that she helped out on this other channel doing this thing, and now she wants to do it. And I said, let's go. All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm ready.
We kind of brought it up to each other, and he was like, I was thinking of having a podcast. I was like, I want to do a podcast too. That was really fun. So DCN, you are the reason why we have a podcast.
It's so cool. I love it.
I feel like everybody has some sort of origin story like that. It's such an interesting, connected world with all of us, and we even have some connections with you guys going way back. That Guild Umbra reference is awesome.
Oh yeah,
that really brings me back. But I wanted to ask you about specifically Ashes of Creation. Like, you have been around for a while, and there is a lot of projects that are sort of floating around in the world. Why did you guys, at such an early stage of this whole thing, decide to really commit to making content about Ashes of Creation?
Virtek, do you want to do this first?
I can start first.
Okay.
Because it seemed like such a great project. Like that's really all there is to it. I mean, there's a lot of detail behind it, but that's like the bold-faced like lettering on the banner, right? Because it's such a great project. Even to this day, like starting off right off the bat, there were a few things where I said, I could deal without that, but everything else sounds great. I mean, there's the nodes thing is amazing. You hear about games that have cities that can grow and blah blah blah, but it's over time and it's like developer crafted, and they control when it grows up and when it doesn't, and when it's destroyed and all that. But this is literally player activity, not even player decision on we want to build a node here, like a city. They don't just decide to do that. It's wherever they spend the time is what grows. It just naturally evolves like that, which is, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Like they don't actively choose to do something as far as create a civilization in one specific spot. They just happen to gravitate to an area along with so many other people, and then just a town sprouts up, and then a metropolis, and suddenly it's a dominating force in the world, when they were just there fishing because it was a really cool spot to fish.
Right.
That's true. Chibi, I mean, do you have a similar sort of attraction to Ashes because of that, or was there something else that sort of made you say, like, this is where we're gonna live for a while?
I'm gonna be honest. So I actually met Virtek in the Ashes of Creation Discord. So for me, I was just getting done with doing my finals, or like progressing through finals for college for that semester, and I was exhausted of World of Warcraft, and I was looking around and I came across the original Lazy Peon video for the Kickstarter. And I saw all these videos for Ashes of Creation. I was like, oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. I love how much they already have developed for this Kickstarter. It looks promising. It sounds exciting. And this could be the next thing for me. And I jumped into the Discord. I started consuming what content they had out at the time. I asked Virtek if I could join in the Kickstarter, and he actually was the one to let me know that it had just finished like 2 days before I joined the Discord, which I was sad about because I had been deliberating it for a week. And I was like, no, I'm gonna be good. I'm going to put this off until after my finals, and then I'll check it out because I need to focus right now. And unfortunately, I missed the Kickstarter, but they did have the summer Kickstarter. And the more that I saw as they went through these development live streams, the more I was like, this is actually really interesting. I don't think anybody has done this before. I'm interested in seeing this through. And I don't know. It's from the beginning, we wanted to kind of give people various viewpoints, and we initially created a podcast called The Party of Five to kind of reflect that. So, yeah, it was just more of, I loved hearing how other people had a different perspective from me on this game. That seemed really interesting. If you were a part of the community back then, you would relate to the sentiment of how buzzed the entire community was. There were people in the Discord all the time talking about it, theory crafting, excitedly talking about like what they think could happen or what couldn't happen and what things might be like. And it was just, the whole community was just vibrating with excitement over this game. And it was contagious, I have to say.
Well, I think it's awesome that you guys have had roots here for so long, and I will freely admit, like, I kind of had an idea that you guys had met around Ashes, but it wasn't confirmed, and I obviously, like, we weren't. That's pretty personal stuff. I wasn't going to ask you guys too much about that, but now that you've offered it up, I'm really excited to hear the actual story of how you guys met. So, like, I wanted to throw this out to you, and Virtek, I'll come to you first on this one. With you two being in this space for so long, and I mean, pretty much from the beginning. I mean, you talked about Peon's very first video, and of course, Lazy Peon needs a statue someplace in Vera because the guy has brought so many people to this game, and I think it's just amazing. He's put so many eyes on it. But with you guys being here for such a long time, from the genesis of this project, is there any one thing, and like I said for you, Virtek, that really sticks out in your mind as a pinnacle moment for you in the history of what Ashes of Creation is and does? Any one moment?
So, and this is going to start off kind of, I guess, for lack of a better word, I guess boring, like typical story, whatever, but like literally the very beginning, back in the Kickstarter era and the summer fundraising area and such. I have to say that was my favorite because just the different cliques and the different communities and the different guilds and whatnot that you just saw forming and organizing and creating their own discords and linking them over. And all of them had like people who would stop into the Discord for Ashes specifically and interrelate with each other, and just like the different like espionage going on already from almost day one.
Yeah.
It was really like watching, and what I imagine anyway, watching the very first servers are going to be like when the game goes live is like exactly when the Kickstarter and summer funding times were, because it was bananas. There was intrigue, there was curiosity, there was chaos, there was, like I said, like different you could say Metropolis is forming with all the different guilds that were forming that are still alive today, and some have fallen, some have risen, some have broken apart and shattered into multiple guilds, some have formed multiple or one giant guild out of multiples. It's been crazy to just watch it, and I think that's why it's probably my favorite and like the pinnacle of my experience thus far, is because it really was like watching what's going to happen when the servers go live.
Yeah.
That kind of blows my mind a little bit that there would be the destruction of guilds already. Like that's a whole other Oprah show, right? To just talk about the
absolutely,
the human factor, right? In all of that stuff with a game that hasn't even launched. Chibi, what about you? Is there any one pinnacle moment that you could think of that really, really sticks out in the history of Ashes?
Ooh, I'd have to say it's that initial wave of excitement. Excuse me, I'm so emotional. My voice is doing weird things. It's that initial wave of excitement that, you know, the community had with things. We saw people making one-shots or Ashes of Creation themed things. We saw people just going crazy, and just the excitement and love for this game that was initially there. And I think over time, has it died out? Sure. I don't think it's died out in the terms of people aren't as interested. It's more of like we've played the long game. So that excitement has been tempered down. But every once in a while, when you have things like the announcement of Alpha 2, that excitement comes back and you see like a hint of what was initially there. And I think that's an important part, is like the reality setting in that this is a long game, right? This is not a short term. This is not Blizzard or any of these other major names. They're taking it slow. They're doing it correctly for what their vision is. And they're going through and building these things. And it's really awesome to see those. But I think right now for me, the excitement level is not even close to when the Kickstarter was fresh. But I cannot wait for it to get to that excitement hype level again. And I'm assuming that's either going to be kind of close when Alpha 2 is out and there's a lot more people that have access to it, or launch comparatively.
It's so funny that you bring up Alpha 2, because that's my next question. So, ta-da!
Believe it or not.
Yeah. What a segue, Chibi. Well done. So with you talk about, the hype and the excitement generated around Alpha 2, and we're going to be seeing that later this year, but at least I totally agree. I really think we are. Is there like a certain aspect of Alpha 2 testing that you really can't look forward to seeing, to going through testing, giving feedback on?
Oh man, the two things I'm the most excited for is testing as soon as it's available all of the cleric secondary options, because I'm gonna probably do cleric primary, so testing all of the secondaries for it, and then of course the crafting system. That's my bread and butter right there.
Yeah. So are you normally a crafter in all MMOs? Is that like your thing?
I definitely try to. Some MMOs make it more worthwhile than others, but yeah, I think that's why it's the biggest importance to me, is because there's so many missed opportunities in a lot of these games where World of Warcraft and other games, it's there, but it's not as impactful as it could be. It doesn't matter as much as it could matter. And that just makes me sad, because it's there, and it's a feature, and it's like an ignored feature almost.
Yeah. What are your professions like of choice right now for Ashes?
Oh, I'm so excited to do alchemy. And then I'm kind of torn for my second one between herbalism or cooking.
Yeah? Oh, it's so awesome. Those are both such solid choices. Cash and I always go back and forth with alchemy and World of Warcraft. So I totally relate to that.
World of Warcraft, it's usually alchemy and tailoring.
Yep. That's awesome.
There's something about picking your own flowers and making your own sodas out of them.
Just saying.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Virtek, what about you?
That.
What part of Alpha 2 do you look forward to testing?
That is actually really tough, just because I am most excited about literally just discovering everything that's fresh and new about a fresh and new game. A fresh and new, like, everything about it. But I kind of mimic what Chibi was saying. I'm going to definitely try out all of the different flavors of tank. I'm going to try out all of the different flavors of X/tank, because I want to see how well any of them could be viable as an off tank, so I can actually have a little bit of flexibility,
Yeah.
But outside of that, I want to go and explore, and this is going to be a huge world to explore. Lots of nooks and crannies, a whole bunch of things to just find and do. And I want to find and do all of them.
Same.
So I just have a real quick follow up to that. I'm actually I'm very interested to see how both of you are going to, and it doesn't have to be a long answer, but how are you feeling that you're going to do it? Like, are you going to do exactly what you said and just dive into absolutely everything that you can touch? Or are you afraid of spoiling some stuff for launch?
I'm not afraid of spoiling anything for launch. There's so much that can change between Alpha 2 and launch. I can't even begin. However, I think it is vital. And as a person, and I actually dragged Virtek into this side gig as well, but as a person who has done testing for other video games, I think it's important to consider the point of testing. And the importance there I'm thinking of is making sure things feel balanced and are working as you expect them to. And I think it's an important thing to know, at least from Intrepid's perspective, if there's any secondary that doesn't feel like the primary secondary mixture is comparable to another primary secondary, they're probably going to be interested in knowing that so they can adjust it. That's at least what I thought.
Great point.
So what you're saying is that you want to test during the Alpha 2 testing.
Yes,
Le
exactly.
Preach on, sister. I love it.
Le Gaspa, who would do such a thing?
I know. And, and this brings us to your content creator, your unofficial content creator summit, because that was kind of one of the questions that a lot of people asked. Us here on the show, we have a sort of uniform opinion, and we sat down and we tied Cash to a chair and we gave him our opinions that he was to tell until he could not, like it was like the Winter Soldier, right? Like he couldn't not tell those opinions. And one of those things was that we believe that Alpha 2 is for testing. So I want to ask, and I'll ask Virtek this first, and then Chibi, tell us about this content creator summit that you guys did. It was such a monumental thing with so many voices and so much going on. Like, how did this even start for you guys?
Ooh, that's a really loaded question because it's literally been years in the making. We've been thinking about doing some things, and a couple of them are still going to be under wraps. But this was one of them that we'd kind of talked about a little bit here and there for a while. And it was definitely how can we, for one, make a community type event that will bring in as many people as possible with various viewpoints to actually discuss things, talk things over, while also encouraging a little bit of collaboration in between them. Show them how, people can think alike and different all at the same time, while also at the same time making it a public event, like the entire thing as much as possible, and incorporate viewers so they can feel like they're a part of it. And it took us so long to really try to think of something that we could possibly do. And this just happened to be one thing that we could do that would incorporate a good bit of the community. And I think you may or may not have heard, but we're looking to do future ones. The first one was the let's just make it happen and see what occurs, and let's see what we have to fix after the fact, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking to do every year, do an unofficial content creator summit, an official content creator summit, which we couldn't do that yet, right? Right? Now, hopefully everybody we talk to is going to be an official content creator next time. And then one for guilds, which is going to be the spicy one.
Yep.
That's going to be the spicy one. And then one for role players, who I identify as role-playing in the game as part of my major identity, and that's what I really try to do all the time, is actually role-play. So
are they going to role-play in the... like, how are you going to pull that one off?
I mean, it's possible. It's possible. There could be some role-play portions to the event.
Oh my gosh.
Should do like a King's Roundtable. Everybody's in character and in costume.
Exactly.
Honestly, I would like that, but... there's a lot of people that are part of the roleplay community that they're like, I'm just kind of text-based. I'm sorry. I'm like, I get it.
That's right.
Yeah, it takes
there are so many AI
to...
voices out there now. They could probably just type it out and it would speak for them. It's fine. It's fine.
Yep.
Chibi, what did you think about the Content Creator Summit? How did you enjoy it?
It was very fun. Honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with this. So we tried getting everybody lined up with plenty of time to get everything ready. And some chaos happened on our back end of everything. And we ended up having, like, the week leading up to was the week we were getting everything sorted. Just because we had a few people either not respond or back out because of, like, real life stuff happening. And it wasn't until Virtek was putting out the list of, like, this person has this question for 1 minute and then everybody has this much time to respond. And then we began realizing just how much of an undertaking 12 people was for a content creator summit. And I was like, we don't even get to question 2. It's like 4 or 5 hours long already. So, we have a list of things like this is what we learned from, this is what we might do differently in the future and that we're going to work on adjusting for the next time. But it was still fun. I had a blast. 8 hours is a long time, but it also flew by really quickly. And I the chat, the community gave me energy throughout that whole thing. They were the breath of energy that we needed. And the fact that they were vibing and they were liking it and that they were there for it really helped push the rest of it along. And I enjoyed, along with a lot of the community, everybody enjoyed hearing all the different perspectives of, all the content creators. And Wizzy's asking, it was 8 hours. And it may not have been 8 hours on your end. It was 8 hours on our end in the back while we're getting all the content creators together and everything. Yeah.
It ended up being 6 hours and 50 minutes of edited video.
Yeah.
So,
Whoa.
whatever that says to you.
Goodness.
Yeah, it says a lot to us. We know how long it takes sometimes to edit like a 10-minute video, let alone do something that's that long. So.
Yeah, and I mean, understandably, it put us behind on our other content a little bit, but we've been trying to stay on top of everything still. So.
Right.
It seems
you learn and you progress and you grow.
That's right.
Give me one thing that you guys would change for the next time you did it. Like one thing walking away from this thing is like, well, we're changing that.
For me, I would change making sure that we nail down all of the people that are going to be a part of it at least 2 weeks beforehand. So we're not doing everything the week of. We have a little bit more time to relaxedly in our free time get it together instead of rush and try to push everything together in the same week.
Virtek, what are you changing?
I think that's pretty much the big one, to be honest, because we started out reaching out to people. I want to say it was like 2 months ahead. It was in either October or November when we first started reaching out to people like, hey, we're trying to do this thing. Are you interested? We gathered a couple of people here or there. And by like the beginning of December, we had everybody kind of gathered. And then we're like, okay, so we need your questions. And then we just kind of let it go until like the beginning of January. We're like, so okay, so what are we doing with all this now? So I think the key goal is going to be to hit people up within a good time frame, like a month, to give them plenty of time to set aside a couple hours in a day.
Yeah.
But then like a lot more of a hot time frame on getting everything early, get it done, get it polished, get it ready to go so everyone can look at it and be comfortable with exactly how it flows, and have a pre-summit meeting. Where we get everybody in and we actually go over everything. Let's get everybody together for 30 to 40 minutes. That's it. Just literally to do a quick walkthrough of everything and say, do you have questions?
That's good.
Well, my experience trying to wrangle these two guys, I cannot even fathom what it would be like to wrangle 12.
And I can even after that explanation, which was fantastic, I can see them both like peering at me like, you better have said that you're going to be there right away and you better have gotten your questions in early. And I did. I promise.
Thank you.
I did.
Way to represent.
That was golden. It's golden.
Oh my gosh.
No, that actually, when I think on that and I think about that whole experience, for me personally, that was one of my bullet points. That is one of my pinnacle moments so far in the Ashes space, was that day. I had a blast. I had a great time. Luckily, I have a very strong support system with all of the nerdy, geeky, dorky stuff that I like to do. And my girls were just like, no, dude, go do your thing. So you'll notice like I cycled out and then I came back because I was like, okay, this is super cool. And I really had a good time. And I think a majority of that was just because it was structured. I like structure in my life. So it was structured. You guys did an amazing job keeping the cats herded, because that can be a very spirited group of people. Content creators are type A's, right? Like they're going to control a room. And everybody did such a great job with trying to keep their answers short, although each one of those topics, every one of those people could have gone an hour.
Easily.
Just doing their thing. So I'm going to move on to the next question for you both, but I really wanted to get this in here when we were talking to you and just give you kudos to that, because I can imagine the work that went behind that. And I think that was a wonderful, positive forward step again for the entire Ashes of Creation community. I just think it was amazing. So
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you
very,
both
very
for
much
doing that.
appreciated.
Yeah.
It was a very honored. Thank you.
okay, so now we'll get to something a little bit more fun, maybe a little bit more. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but maybe I'm going to ask for a different answer here on this one. I'm going to go to Chibi first on this, but when you think about Ashes of Creation as a game,
Yes.
and you think of all the things in that wonderful Lazy Peon video that he just laid out and put in front of so many people, including a bunch of content creators who are like, oh God, that's my game, right?
Yeah.
Like the guy is just, he's the Dovahkiin right now to me when it comes to Ashes of Creation, besides Steven. Anyway, you think of all those wonderful mechanics in this game and all those things that we're going to have to look forward to in Alpha 2 and pregame and beyond. What is one aspect of the game that you see every time you see it just makes you smile and just makes you say, that's for me?
Honestly, I don't think I really have an answer for one. And the reason why is because there's not one independent thing. It's how everything works together, right? It's the fact that any sort of decision that you make as the player touches so many different things and affects so many different things that it's widespread. And I think that that is really unique. And I love the fact that your choices really matter in this game. It's not just another, I mean, we were playing classic WoW with our guild for a little bit, and there was that raid that you had to complete, and every time somebody completed it, you would hear the same prompt over and over. It was happening in Dalaran, right? Like, oh, adventurers, this person has defeated a great evil, da 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 da. Like 5 minutes later, the same thing would play, and then there's like, you know, woo, like cheerful, like fireworks happening up in the sky, and you're like, okay, cool. You're like the 10th person today. Good job, guys.
Yeah, oh, you're the Dovahkiin too?
Yep.
Right?
It's our ongoing Dovahkiin joke.
It's just one of those things, like, I like it, you know. I like that you're the hero of your own story, not the story that the world has already set out for you. You know, you make what you want of the game, not the game chooses what your path is. And I like that.
I love it. So it's kind of everything all together in one package.
Yeah.
Is what makes your gaming experience, or at least will.
That's honestly what sold me, was their whole plan on how it's all super player driven.
All right. I'll allow it. Virtek.
I'll allow it. Now, you know, I'm going to say on the surface level, my answer is basically the same, but the details are a lot different. Because despite how recently I may be griping about some things, you know, I may have had a couple gripes about a few things, but I've been all sunshine and rainbows since like day one. And I was like, you know what, at one point it's like, you know what, I can actually dwell a little bit on the things I don't like just because I feel like talking about them. But in the end, it really is that, as Chibi was saying, the feeling of player agency in the world. You do something and everything reacts. Everything's connected in some way, shape, or form. Everything that you do is going to influence something somewhere. That feels great to me. And not in the, again, as she was saying, you're the prophesied hero of the world. You're going to save. You're the only one that can do it. Meanwhile, that same NPC is like, I'm going to hold off the apocalypse over here. You handle the elephant with the hammer over there, okay? You have to stop him.
Yeah. The NPC that gives you a job and just stands there and watches you and never helps. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're literally holding like their one hand on a door, and like little end of the world is on the other side, and you just have to face like the guy that has a gun. Like, he's the guy that I'll stab him with my big old sword. It's fine. But if the NPC over there lets his hand off that door, everybody's screwed. But I'm the prophesied one to save the world. Okay. It just feels so manufactured and weird.
Yeah.
So the fact that everybody is just kind of a nobody, but also a somebody at the same time, like you can influence this story, but you're not like a king or a prophesied hero. So relax. Your boots are going to be worn by the next person if you die. So deal with it.
Well, that's morbid.
I love that.
But that's life.
Oh.
And I mean, it's
Can
a
I
dose.
be
Student
buried in
boots.
my boots at least?
It's a small
I
dose of
mean,
realism in our games, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's replaceable.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's such a sentiment around here about just how, you know, I know we already said it, but you know, you're not the Dovahkiin. You're not the one hero that was born every 1,000 years, you know, the person. And so, yeah, just absolutely. Cash, I think we have a rapid fire round for him, don't we?
Yes, this is a surprise.
Oh
for both.
boy.
All right. It's my
Oh,
favorite.
no.
These
Is
are
a fun fact.
yeah. So we've done this in the past when we've done some interviews, and we specifically wanted to do a rapid fire round with both of you.
Oh,
The
boy.
rules are very simple.
Okay.
You don't need to put
Ridiculous.
any thought into these questions. It's like
Top of your head. Got it.
one word answers and just super quick. I'll kind of fire them off to you. So
Okay.
when I do these, I'll ask a question, and of course, ladies first. We're going to go to Chibi first, and then her husband, and then we'll just go through. There's not that many of them. There's just a few, but okay, give us a
I'm
little
just saying, that's
flavor.
what the taco shop knows
I'm
me as down the
nervous. I'm
street.
nervous.
They know
Yeah.
Bree's name, and I'm just Bree's husband. That's my name there.
Nice. That's
Oh,
nice.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
he would have grabbed tacos like, oh, you're Bree's husband. Okay.
Yeah,
I
and literally I
also
was
lived
announced
that
by
life,
like,
yeah.
Bree's husband, your food's ready. Oh, okay.
So, yeah, such is the fate of every husband in the world.
Yes, ladies first, always, of course.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, are you guys ready for this?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, super fun. So here we go. I'll count it down. 3, 2, 1. Chibi, what's your favorite node type? Economic, military, divine, or scientific?
Divine.
Virtek.
Scientific.
Chibi, what's your chosen class?
Cleric.
Virtek.
Tank.
Chibi, what's the launch year for Ashes of Creation?
2026.
The launch year.
2027.
Okay.
Very good,
okay.
very good.
And launch year.
Okay, Chibi, last video game you played.
Oh crap. Oh, Overwatch. No, wait, Pal World.
Okay, good. A recent game. That's good. That's good.
Okay.
Virtek, last game you played.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Very good. Okay, now last question. Last question. This one's very important for the future of Ashes of Creation. Okay.
Okay. Serious face.
Chibi, pizza with pineapple or not?
Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
Man.
Zero thought. Zero thought.
Wow.
That wasn't even a question. That was just that was the intro to the
pointing
statement
that
of
one.
life.
A dagger.
Painless. See, that was painless.
It was.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
But no,
Well,
actually,
no
I've been
hesitation.
fun
Because
fact.
he's taking back all his donos.
Oh, I'm so sad. So, fun fact: as a Sicilian person, I actually like making pizzas with white sauce, which is the Alfredo sauce, and that is actually really, really good with that light little bit of citrus as well, because you've got the creamy and you've got the citric, and
Hang
it tastes
on.
really good.
wow.
1 second. Are you
Yep.
saying an Alfredo sauce pizza with pineapple on it
And chicken, yes,
and chicken?
yes.
Okay, Baron Chef, make it happen.
Actually, she said two things that were very interesting to me. Number one, I love freaking pizza and white sauce, and number two, it's probably because I also, my friend, am 100% Sicilian.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I see. This is my theory on why I'm so short. Because I heard Sicilian women are short, and I'm 4'10", right? So I'm like, I think that's where like the Sicilians coming in.
I must
I
be an
think there's a
anomaly
good-
because I'm 6'3".
Yeah.
Well, at least women. At least women. I don't know about the men.
I think there's a good chance that one of the other three of us are going to end up at the bottom of a river.
It's true.
It's true.
I do. Well, the funny part is that both of my parents are from the old country. I'm literally the first generation here, and my dad
Oh, nice.
has mafia stories.
Oh,
Yes, like legit mafia stories.
Black hand. Yeah.
My dad's from Palermo. So
Okay.
like that's where the Corleone family's from. They're kind of known. So
I'm the second generation here.
Awesome.
third
That's
generation.
so cool.
Awesome.
Was-
My great grandparents came over in the 20s on the boat.
Paisan.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so
Very
cool.
cool.
That's so cool. Okay, so I'm gonna start with Virtek on this, mainly because you brought up the NPCs earlier, as far as not being the Dovahkiin and all that. So when it comes to the Mount Rushmore of NPCs in gaming, like if you had a list, and I'm not saying like you have to like go through every single like number one for one of every single one of them, but like if you had to think maybe like what are your top 3 or top 5 or top 2 whatever NPCs in a game that really impacted you, like it changed your whole experience, it made the game for you, what are those? It's not a loaded question at all, I promise.
You can't say Mario.
What are those
say that one.
NPCs?
Why not?
He changed my life.
Oh man, Mount
Mustache.
Rushmore of NPCs. Holy cow! 'Cause I saw that really quick earlier when I was gazing through the notes, and I was like, "What's that even mean?" All right, I'll have to figure out what that's all about later. And oh man,
Yeah, so you know what? Like seriously, no stress. Maybe even just one.
see, because that's But the NPCs though, because it's always like the player story. You know what? And I forget her name, but it was just listening to her story and listening to impacts and choices along the way. But it was the lady that like locked herself in well, I don't know who out there hasn't played Horizon Zero Dawn, 'cause this is like my second playthrough. But the main NPC lady that you really only hear her voice and you kind of see her in the holograms once or twice. That ended up being like the mother figure. But was also trying to like save the human race at the same time as kind of prevent it all from being lost in the first place. Just listening to that story was bananas, and just seeing the rise and fall of someone, like a civilization, because of honestly hubris, really.
Yeah.
Like,
That
you're
game
too
is on my
close.
list. I seriously
Yeah.
have to play that
Yeah.
game.
I highly
Yeah.
recommend it, honestly.
If you
I
haven't
do.
at
I've
all-
never heard a bad thing about that game. I really haven't. Nobody's
Yeah.
ever
You
have to
said that
like
they didn't like
story.
playing that game.
Yeah, you have to like story, and you have to be okay with the difficulty is not crazy hard at first. You can't make it really hard until you beat it once, and then you have to beat it again to make it harder, and beat it again to make it harder. You can't just jump to the super difficult.
Aren't they doing a live action of
But-
that IP? Has anyone else heard that? Maybe it's an MMO.
I have
Are they
not.
doing the
It's
MMO?
I know they're doing an MMO.
MMO, that's what it is. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
That'd
Yeah.
be bananas.
Really?
Yeah, that and the BioShock Infinite. And again, I forget her name because it's been forever since the game came out, since I've actually played it. But if I recall correctly, she was the little girl in the first BioShock that ended up growing up as time went on, or the daughter of the woman. I forget how the time thing worked out, but she was in like the BioShocks.
Was it Elizabeth?
Yeah, it was Elizabeth, but I'm trying to remember how she
Yeah,
factored into the first one with how the time bend works in all that series.
That's interesting. That's I remember growing up watching my nephews playing this game, and I had never played it ever, and I just know there's this giant dude. He looks like he's in a metal casing, and there's this sweet little girl. So that's all I saw. And
Yeah, and that's the like specifically that's the one. But I think she tied to Elizabeth in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, the little girl right there, because it was like, oh my gosh, I gotta help this child.
yeah,
What's going on?
right.
And it just that drove the entire experience. And this BioShock, like the first BioShock in general, was just so intense. It was really like a groundbreaking type game. Just in
Yeah.
the way it played out.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
But that little girl right there really drove it home for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Chibi, what about you?
Oh man. So when you say like Mount Rushmore of NPCs, you're talking about like the best NPCs that we've experienced,
Yeah.
essentially.
In your opinion,
Okay.
like, what's on
In
your
my
list?
opinion. Okay, so I'm probably gonna get hate for this, and I'm completely ready for this. But pre-Rain, Sylvanas. She was so very misunderstood.
Whoa.
I love it.
She was just trying to do what she thought was right, And, you know, before she became chieftain or whatever of the Horde, she was just a very misunderstood character. And it was very interesting to see her perspective on everything and her just trying to do what she thought was right, even though everybody else was condemning her for her choices.
Do you feel like she was ready to be chieftain? Just like as a sidebar.
Honestly, I was campaigning for her to be chieftain before she was actually chieftain, but after she became chieftain, I was like, this was a mistake.
What have I done?
What have I done?
Yeah. She got gnarly. There's no doubt about that. There were some of those cutscenes where I was staring at it just going,
Yeah.
what the hell is this woman doing? She's
I remember,
crazy.
I strictly remember the first time there was like that, like, watch your clever mouth, B word. And I was like, I'm just shocked.
Yeah. How can this be Warcraft? How did you do that to me?
I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, I absolutely love that you pulled a Warcraft reference out of that, because like, you know, we are still playing Warcraft. Like we're still playing Warcraft. That is the one game that we go back to all the time. And a lot of the times that we played that game, we had just played it for progression and, you know, to do mythic stuff and, you know, kind of bounce around from character to character. But I would say probably in the past year or two, we've really dove into learning as much lore about the game as we can, because the story of Warcraft really is, it's phenomenal. It truly is a phenomenal experience.
I have to say, if you have not seen any of their like 2D art storyline things, like there's the Jaina one, there's the Sylvanas one, there's I think Ashara, like those, so good. Honestly, it really hits home. The soundcraft, the voice work, everything. Ah.
Yeah, the ones with like the little, almost like the moving storyboard kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With, like the
Yeah. The Jaina one made me cry.
Oh, that was good.
I love Jaina. I'm a huge Jaina fan. And I play Alliance too, so I guess it kind of tracks. But these are the kind of things, like, you see how passionate we are just about a story in a game. Like, number one, that's why we nerd out about lore, period.
Yeah.
And we fully realize that like lore is not for everybody, but when you really get behind a game and you love a game and you love an IP, you will defend it to the death. And I think that's kind of where we're at with games like Warcraft. And then obviously we're big Star Wars fans, so the same thing. It's like why people get passionate about Lord of the Rings and all this stuff. And that is our hope, and that's really, really what we want. It's our dream for Ashes, to have this IP with characters that we can get behind, and that we love, and we love to see them again. And I think that's a big reason why we're kind of talking about NPCs tonight, and about what the Mount Rushmore of, you know, your personal favorites out there are, and kind of what we hope for Ashes to be. Yeah. You know, do you have any follow up on it or anything else that you wanted to say? I was just going to go into my Mount Rushmore, but I don't know.
No, that was the one that really, like, outside of the one Virtek mentioned, like this is the one that really stands out to me the most, I'd have to say. Like, I literally was so behind her as a charter before BFA, so.
Before the dark
BFA,
times.
Yeah. Yeah, BFA did make a bit of a turn there, but, you know, I will say she was the rendering, and I'm going to say this just for Jaina, like the rendering for Jaina, that is where I truly became a Jaina fan, because when I saw that, if you've never played the BFA storyline, there is a cutscene at the very beginning where she's there with her dad. Oh, that just, I'm a dad of a daughter. It just
Did you see the video for her?
Yes.
With the anchor necklace and the whole song. Oh.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But see, like, that's what I'm talking about. The love for these characters and these NPCs, and the way that you can just rally behind them. So I had a few that for my own Mount Rushmore that were really very very influential for me in my history of gaming and just really stuck out in my memory. And I think one of the big ones for me way back in the day was Cortana, and she was the AI partner for Master Chief.
Nice.
Was that one of yours, Jibs?
No, that was way out of left field for me. That was awesome, Cole. Good.
You looked at me like you were so disappointed.
No, I'm just like, oh, that's genius.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How do you feel about Navi from Zelda?
Man.
Oh my gosh. Hey,
She's
listen.
not on my list.
I mean,
Hey.
Yeah. Does anybody have a fly swatter?
Navi!
I mean, you did say most impactful, right? You didn't say how exactly.
The impact was there.
Or perhaps that stupid black blob from Black Desert Online.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I have never wanted a can of Raid so bad in my life.
You know what's funny? I never played that the Legend of Zelda game with Navi in it. Never played that one. But the funniest cosplay I've ever seen in my life was a couple's cosplay, and it was a Link that was running, like almost speed running through the main entranceway of a convention center, looking over his shoulder and hiding behind poles and hiding on like under the stairs and like running and like at full speed, just gone. And by the time everybody finally processed what had happened and started to go about their life, in runs this little fairy dressed girl going, "Listen, Link, listen, Link, listen, listen." Just running full speed in the same direction.
All this is giving me is listen, Linda, listen vibes.
Yeah.
Listen, Linda.
The chat was right on it right away. As soon as we asked the question, Gone Crazy Back Soon said, "Do you know how long I've been looking for you?"
Stuga for me.
Yeah. Whole Stuga from Elder Scrolls Online. Yeah, she was a real peach. Okay, so let me go to a couple others here, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to give Elder Scrolls their due here. So another one for me was Parthenax, the probably one of the most famous dragons in all of gaming was Parthenax, and he's the guy that kind of guides the Dovahkiin along and teaches him how to get shouts and all that stuff. So he was a big one for me. Another one, Jibs, you'll like this one, Dogmeat from Fallout.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yep. He was the German Shepherd. He was your character's German Shepherd, and he was always finding something useful for the player and rooting things out. And I just thought that was like a very cool take on an animal companion. I'm like, you know what? That animal companion is an NPC. So guess what? He's on my list.
In many cases, in many instances, in my case, in many forgotten, quick loaded save games where he jumped in front of a bullet and stopped me from dying, and so I had to quick load back to the last save so I didn't lose him. Then I realized I didn't really lose him.
Right.
I would restart a damn game to not lose my dog.
Right.
Nope.
Honestly, the game that made me restart it was Dragon Age.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I got so upset because I lost my sister in that game that I restarted the entire game because I didn't know which decision I made that made me lose her.
Oh,
You're
man.
a good gamer. I
was like, no, my sister.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Oh my goodness.
All right, I got one more. Last one. And I want to tie this one into Ash's lore, because I would love to see a character like this that we could see from time to time throughout the world. Kind of like the Maik the Liar thing, where you see Maik the Liar pop up, the Khajiit from Elder Scrolls. You see that cat pop up all the time. But Deckard Cain from Diablo. Guys remember Deckard Cain? Stay a while and listen. He was the storyteller from Diablo. And I would love to have some kind of an archivist or a chronologist or storyteller that we would find or see in that tells the story of Vera in different parts of the world, and you just don't know where that NPC is ever going to be. I think things like that, these types of memorable NPCs really help to add flavor to a game and endear players to certain aspects of the game when you have NPCs like that. So that's my hope for Ashes.
That's good.
JB, do you want to go or do you want to go last?
I can go, yeah. Easy. I'm just going to give one. Malgus. Darth Malgus from Star Wars The Old Republic. I love baddies, and whether it's movies or games, whatever it is, I love those big baddies. And I'll never forget when I saw the Deceive trailer. I still go and watch it on YouTube from time to time, just because it's just like one of the oh my gosh moments ever. If for any dark side fan like me in Star Wars that loves that side of the Force, and you get to watch it all happen in front of you, oh my gosh, I was blown away at the time, and I couldn't wait to play the game, and it just became such a monumental thing to me, and that kind of like coincided with me with Ashes of Creation a little bit, because it begged the question to me, like, does Ashes of Creation need that big baddie, that single NPC that kind of drives the narrative at the onset, which so many games do, or is like, what's that gonna look like? Because in a game that's so player driven and refreshingly player driven, it's just like, is that gonna be the same? Is it gonna be different? I don't know. But for me, it was definitely Malgus.
Malgus was such an iconic character because they sold the whole game around it. We knew Malgus before we even touched that game, and so the level of excitement to just find out more and more about him, and I still got the Mal. You can't see it on the camera because it's one shelf up, but my Malgus statue is up there. It's just one of those things that that is such a good pull for the big baddie. I'm not sure that question, we're gonna put that one on a back burner, I think, because I think that question that you asked, whether Ashes of Creation needs the big bad or whether or not an MMO should be driven around a big bad like a Malgus, I mean, that's a conversation unto itself. That's a great question.
True.
Well, let me throw this one at all you guys. Do you think that as a player in Ashes of Creation, we need to fight? Please God, no. I'm not trying to lead you, but we need to fight the others in the Ancients?
I think that's already going to be a thing for those that are viewing themselves as holy and paladin and things like that. But I also think that people who are maybe more like, well, let's hear their side of things first, might not fall into that perception.
Ooh, I like that. The opposite side.
You know what I would kind of really like to see in this, the next great MMO? I would like to see us not fight the others at all. Like, we never touch them. Why? Because there's 3 of them, and there are 7 of the other. The original, the 7, and then 3 that went all twisted. Why do we, returning back from a planet that they couldn't save or whatnot in the beginning? Why do we have to take over and beat gods? Why won't the other 7 just pick up their irons and start pumping them and get some bigger muscles, learn how to do the job better the second time around? And it's literally a backdrop during our confrontations and our engagements and whatnot. And that would be really neat. It would literally be something occurring in the background while we're trying to take out their minions that the 7 can't really face, because they're trying to be good people, etc. So they're not as practiced in, murder and slaying and ravaging the land and stuff like that. So they have to really try. But we got to take out their minions.
I kind of like that. I kind of like the idea that we are not capable of dealing with that. It's just sort of okay, stay in your lane here, blacksmith.
Oh, that's good. Sonny, what's your top of the list for your NPCs?
All right, I got 3 of them. I got 3 that came in mind, and one of them is actually from a game that Chibi mentioned, and so 2 of them are honorable mentions, and one of them gets a medal here. So The one from the game that Chibi mentioned was Morrigan from Dragon Age. Morrigan was a spectacular character rooted in the King Arthur Morgana type of backdrop. I just thought that character was extremely well fleshed out in that game, and I really, really cared about her. I was not willing to go out and not have Morgan with me. She was very important to my gameplay, and that's exactly what we're talking about, right? Like, we're talking about when you're playing a game that you have this emotional attachment to this NPC character. One of the other ones is more on a on a personal level, because we all of us, I believe, were able to have conversations with the actress that played her, and that is Vet from SWTOR, and that was voiced by Kat Tabor. Just a real important moment, I think, for us as podcasters, all doing our own sort of thing, was to experience what it was like to, to ask a person questions who is doing this very, very strange thing, right? Like, you are giving life to all of these different characters that have different personalities, but yet you are chosen based on your personality to do that. It's just such a unique type of living that she was making. And so, when that game came out, I think that we all really wanted to spend some time with Vet, the character, to just get that full experience. So that was really cool.
Just a real quick note on Kat Tabor. She not only voiced Vet, but she also did Padme in the Clone Wars.
Yep.
That was her main thing.
Huge role.
Nice.
Yeah, huge role. And we were very, very lucky to get to interview her, and actually still keep up with her, believe it or not.
Yep.
Excellent.
On Instagram,
Yeah.
still keep up with Kat.
Nice.
She's just a tremendous human being.
Yeah.
In the things that she's done. So that's a good pulse hunting. I like that. I like that one a lot.
And then the one that I think I don't have any personal connection to or anything like that, but this NPC was just, it was a mind-blowing sort of experience when I played the game, and then it was an even more mind-blowing experience when I was doing the University of Coruscant, and I had to research this. I did a season on dark side characters, and Kreia, or Treya, came up, and just the level of depth. The game was KOTOR 2, and you had this woman who basically taught me what existentialism means. And then you have, so existentialism is all about being in the moment, right? Like, what you're doing is defining who you are. There is
that like diegetic?
Else. Yeah, it's like diegetic.
Okay.
It's a slightly more expensive word Scrabble-wise. Huh. But like, your existence is defined by what you do, right? That is what it is. But then to have that juxtaposition of the Jedi and the Force, and this whole concept of like, it's the will of the Force, right? Like, it's fate. You just go with the will of the Force. And she's an existentialist. And so it was just crazy. And you go back and you look at that game, and it's a text game, right? Like, you have a lot of long conversations with these NPCs, and she's more or less teaching and all of this stuff. And it's just crazy to try to wrap your brain around this company, BioWare, creating a character with that level of depth inside a universe that is space wizards and lightsabers, right? Like, that one really was a special thing for me.
Man,
It's more than space wizard lightsabers. It's more than that.
It's existentialist old ladies.
I was like 14 learning about philosophy when I was playing that.
I know. Forcing your
Finding the deeper messages.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
But that one was I could not go without speaking about her, because it just nuts, right? Like, that's modern video games. It's not Mario jumping over the platform. It's these kind of developers that are able to put their craft in, like the storytelling and the writing and the the depth of characters, and then you combine that now with tremendous voice actors and voice actresses that are bringing life to these things, and it's just a golden age for these kind of things, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So
There's some stuff I really miss actually getting the chance to play with when it comes to Star Wars things, because I didn't actually learn a lot about anything Star Wars related and MMO combinations until Star Wars The Old Republic, and then I got to play that on a very old ex's game. And then when I was at Virtek, we tried getting it to work on my PC, and my PC said nope.
Denied.
Straight up denied me. Virtek could play it just fine. Me, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It just doesn't want to load the game. I don't know why.
True. They would get to like the starting menu and just lock and look weird and not be able to do a thing.
Yep. So I gave up on trying to play it, sadly.
It's a sign from the Lord. Ashes.
This is
is
not
for
the
you.
game you're looking for.
nice, Paul.
Well played. Well played.
Oh, that's good. So where can, as we get ready to wrap up here, where can our listeners find all of your content and all your socials, all the things? If they want to come to see ChibiBree and Virtek, where do they need to go?
Honestly, we worked really hard to make our social the same across every single platform. After the job that I joined, this is the first thing that I changed. So we are just TGF Tavern across all of the socials.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Lucky you being able to get that
No
across.
kidding,
all of
right?
them.
You did that.
We used to be like the Golden Feather Tavern without an ER. It was just TAVRN. And then, there was like a few others where it wasn't exactly matched. And then I learned the
Every
priority.
platform was different by like
Yeah.
a letter or two here or
Like,
there. So
just
it's like,
because of like maximum allowances for usernames, So the Golden Feather Tavern as one word was like way too long for some of them. But yeah, one of the things that I invested time in was just sitting there and searching on like all of the socials we wanted to be a part of, like TGF Tavern and the Golden Feather, and just different different usernames, and just seeing whichever one was available on all of them. As soon as I saw it was available on all of them, locked it down.
Well done.
Yeah, that is a content creator's nightmare. Right
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
having to lock down all kinds of socials and
Yeah.
stuff.
To this day, I'm ChibiBree _ on Twitch or on Twitter or X now, because somebody else has the username of ChibiBree and they've never used Twitter a
Yeah.
day in their life.
Oh my gosh, that was
same
us.
thing as Virtek.
Really?
Same thing with Virtek.
Oh
There's
my
a person. There's somebody with one. I think they're following one person, and 3 people are following them. And they've never had activity since like
They're just
The dawn
squatting
of
on
Twitter?
it. They want the payoff
Yeah.
from you.
Yep.
they have one retweet that's something about like personal organizers gathering or something like that, or virtual assistants gathering or something like that. I was like, what is this even? From again, like the dawn of Twitter, and there's never been any other activity. I keep
Yeah.
staring at it at least once a month. I go, is at Virtek event? Nope, it's still not available.
Yeah.
That was the same thing for us with LoreForged. That's what we had to throw the HQ on the end, just because there was like one guy who had LoreForged in it. Was like from like 8 or 9 years ago with like one tweet. Yeah.
Yep.
Totally relate.
Somebody's driving around the state of Iowa with an R2D2 license plate that pisses me off. I am
Okay,
R2D2.
Should I piss you off, or should you go find them and become
Oh,
best
I'm gonna
friends?
find them. I'm gonna steal their license plates.
Yeah, all you gotta do is steal the plate,
Just
put it
find
on your
out,
car.
yoink.
Put it on my car. Diabolical.
How it works.
Oh, that's good.
Trade them. It's fine. They do it all the time.
Oh, that's
Oh
funny.
my gosh.
Saw this in a movie. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Podcaster
Ask your
kidnaps
Sicilian.
R2D2. Oh, that's funny. Well, everybody.
Ask your Sicilian.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to the show. This was LoreForged, the podcast on Ashes of Creation. If you enjoyed your time here, let us know how we're doing. Most importantly, go over to TGF Tavern. Make sure you are listening to the Golden Feather Tavern. These are two lovely people. And make sure, in addition to reviewing our show, you maybe I can talk. I promise. I'm a professional, I promise.
Use your words.
I'm trying. I'll sound it out real slow. Give us all reviews. They're fantastic people. All right, there's that. That was cringeworthy. All right, so anyway.
Way to go.
I know. There was just no coming back from that, Clark. Anyway, we do have a review here. It's from Zen Marksman of the United States of America. It says, this podcast is beyond incredible. It's a perfect blend of amazing insights, engaging discussions, and a touch of humor that keeps me hooked every time they stream. It feels like hanging out with my buddies, and the host's passion for Ashes of Creation shines through, making each episode not just informative, but genuinely enjoyable. If you're a fan of the game or just love entertaining podcasts, this is a must listen. 5 stars all the way. Zen Marksman, I think you're here in chat. Thank you so much, friend.
Thank you, Zen.
That was super
Much
kind of you.
appreciated.
We saw Zen Marksman earlier for sure.
Yeah. Good dude.
I think the touch of humor he was talking about was when you try to pronounce normal words.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Happens to
That's
us.
hurtful. That's hurtful.
Yeah, why you gotta be like that?
Oh, I know. As intended.
As intended.
Totally
It's doing its job.
It's doing You can always call us
Fun fact.
Yeah?
Fun fact. LoreForged. Actually, like Sunny has a history with Virtek. We have that whole conversation. But LoreForged, we told them they should sign up to be official content creators the moment they started LoreForged as a new podcast for Ashes, because the quality here is amazing and we support it all the way.
Thank you so much.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
it.
Very
Yeah,
kind of
super
you. Thank you
sweet.
very much.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
great stuff, well put together, well organized.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We gave them our
Thank you.
fax number. We're waiting patiently.
All
Give him a
swell
beeper.
fellas. Yeah, give him a beeper number.
JB's
How's
beeper
it
in my
going, Phil?
fax machine.
Yeah, it's around here somewhere, right?
We sent them our application in microfiche.
Sent them a postcard forever ago. I don't know what's going on. I stapled the check to it, and it hasn't come back.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Well, you can always.
Thank you, Chibi.
Yes.
That was sweet.
Yes,
Of
agreed.
course.
Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. You guys have been, side note, you guys have been, I remember when we were here with Lore Seekers, Cash and I, and you guys were still doing what you're doing now. And you guys are just one of the best in the space for the community love that you give out, the kindness and compassion. You're always welcoming and always loving, and you go above and beyond to make people feel that way. So it just doesn't go unnoticed, and you guys are such gems. So, goodness. Thank
You can't
Wizzy
teach
said
that.
it way early. Wizzy said it way early in the chat that she thought that this crew here on this podcast was the light of Ashes of Creation, and that comes from you guys. You guys have such a positive attitude in this thing, and we really thank you for everything that you've done for the entire space here. So
Yeah.
hats
That's
off.
very sweet.
How
And
do
if
you-
you guys are looking for an alliance,
Oh, yes.
people who aren't going to stab you in the back,
That's right.
I'm throwing it out there right now.
Hey,
Aw.
this came up in conversation, making like tavern alliances and sharing recipes. If you can
Yeah.
discover
Oh, yeah.
recipes by mixing ingredients randomly, if you can discover established recipes, we'll join the recipe coalition with you.
Ooh, I like
Absolutely.
it.
Oh, man.
Ooh, I like it
this.
too.
We had a conversation after the show. Oh, you
We
can.
got a mayor with questionable morals that would happy to facilitate a deal.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, my gosh. That's hilarious. You can always call us 516-875-1776, and you can email us loreforgedhq@gmail.com. Sonny.
Visit loreforge.com to find all of our links for Ashes of Creation, and that includes basically an invite to our community. But before I get to that, that is our YouTube as well. Go to YouTube, and that is youtube.com/@loreforged. And I have to give a huge shout out to the Varen Chef this week, who got a personal thumbs up from the Intrepid Studios, saying that it was a fantastic video. If you have not checked this out, Cash is doing a cooking show called The Varen Chef on our YouTube, and it is spectacular. Chef's kiss. Cash, you want to tell him anything about the Varen Chef other than just how proud you are?
No, I'm super happy. Like that is I don't even want to say labor of love because it's not labor. I absolutely love every single second of producing the first one, and I'm gonna love doing more. And yeah, like when Ashes says, when they say something to a content creator, it's just, I squeed. I was like a Girl Scout when that happened. I was super excited, so I'm sorry, but it was very true. It means a lot to content creators when stuff like that happens. So I was really excited to get this one out, and it is a project that we're gonna continue. We're just gonna keep pumping those out as we can. But I can't get one of those out as fast as I could, or as any of us could, say a regular video. It's just the production is a lot to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of prep that
I'd
goes into
imagine.
something like that. So, but anyway, yeah, thank you. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's fun. It's a fun.
Yeah,
one.
anything that takes like as much time as that did is an actual labor. Whether or not it's love or not, you can't
Yeah.
deny that thing takes work.
There you go.
I love the heck out of it though. I was having so much fun. So,
That's awesome. It's
Yeah.
super fantastic. Go check that out. I think Katie put a link in the chat. If you haven't seen it, go to
Thank you,
our
Katie.
go to our YouTube, twitch.tv/LoreForged HQ. Chibi, did you see how this one has an HQ on the end?
Yes. I don't want to
that-
talk about it.
I'm sure that it gives you the cold sweats just thinking about that kind of thing.
I may
That's
have
where-
tried rating you guys and forgot the HQ after it.
Well, I'm sure the
okay.
nice people
That's okay.
at LoreForged really enjoyed that. I don't know what they're screaming
They're
about, but
offline.
GB, if you want to
course
make
they
up
were.
for it, maybe you could send your mafioso family after the person who has LoreForged.
that's right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Perhaps an offer they can't refuse. I don't know.
There you go.
And then finally, Patreon, for all of you that are interested in getting our content early, as well as our behind the scenes sort of monthly conversation. I don't know how you could possibly imagine a show being looser than what it is here, but I assure you that it actually is. That is available only on patreon.com/LoreForgedHQ. Cash.
Friends, don't forget to join our Discord community. It is open for everybody, and we're seeing some really fun people come in who are playing games with us and just kind of shucking and jiving with us each night. I want to give a giant shout out to 3 new Discord members for the week: Laughables, Abertorix, and Toad, who just joined today. You can follow us on X, follow Jibs at JibsIRL, follow myself at Cash Quests, and Sunny at U of Coruscant. And don't forget to follow the show at LoreForged HQ.
There it is.
Yes.
I am TV and I endorse this message.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh, all right. That's so good.
I
Well,
love it.
everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. Have a wonderful week in gaming, and we will see you next week right here on LoreForged. Take care, everybody.
Peace, love, and honeybees.
Safe travels, adventurers.
Bye.